What's good, YouTube / Instagram? Welcome to Starting on Cinemas. That's Cinemas with an S, and today I'll be giving you my review on Dunkirk as part of the Christopher Nolan series. I'm so glad this series is almost over. I'm going to get deeper into that later. But before I begin, if you are new to this video, if this is the first video you are seeing on my channel or on my Instagram page, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave a comment on the section below, follow me, and most importantly, watch to the very end. Let's get started. So, Dunkirk. Dunkirk sees in May 1940, Germany advances into France, trapping Allied troops on the beaches of Dunkirk. Under air and ground cover from British and French forces, troops were slowly methodically evacuated from the beach using every serviceable naval and civilian vessel that could be found. At the end of the heroic mission, 330,000 French, British, Belgian, and Dutch soldiers were safely evacuated. Now, don't get too comfortable with everything I'm about to say, because I know I've mostly showed a lot of appreciation for the way Christopher Nolan has directed these films. Like, we got one more movie left in this series, which is Tenet, next Monday. I'm very excited for that. And going into this movie, my expectations were pretty high. Now, for the story, this is the story section, but I did mention, I'm pretty sure I mentioned I was not a history junkie, and I do not watch a lot of war movies, which is evident from my review on Defy Bloods, which you can watch if you haven't seen already. But at this point in the Christopher Nolan series, in the Christopher Nolan binge-watching series, my expectations are pretty high for this iconic filmmaker. Like, at this point, you can pretty much know what to expect from this guy. Like, you know it's going to be, you know there are going to be a lot of things going over your head, and you know you're going to catch some things. But when watching Dunkirk, I decided to focus on the usual aspects that make Christopher Nolan's films stand out. You know, that makes Christopher Nolan's films truly his, respectively owned by him. But I was concerned to see what his take on World War II would be, and how exactly he would deliver it to this audience. To be honest, Dunkirk, despite having that excellent cinematography and intense atmosphere, Dunkirk to me feels empty and without deeper context. Now, agree to disagree in the comment section below. If this is one of your top favorite Nolan films, that's okay. But after seeing this, it was pretty underwhelming to me. Let me explain. I'm not saying what I just said because it's a war movie. It's not fair. But that was because I feel as if it doesn't possess the Nolan flavor of a distinct concept. You know what I'm saying? Like, war, this is off script by the way, but war, it's not a very complicated concept, so I can get why it may have not felt as engaging to me as any of the other films, but I guess sometimes with these deeper concepts that he's tackled in his previous films, it felt more well-rounded, because those are complicated concepts. Like last week, I gave a poor review on Interstellar because it had everything that you would expect from a Christopher Nolan film, but on top of that overly complicated stuff, that thought-provoking filmmaking process, you got all this complicated science, which not a lot of people are familiar with, and that takes heavy brain power. Now, I understand it wasn't much for the story to do aside from trying to evacuate as many souls out of the crossfire as they can. But in the midst of that, I wish we would have at least got some kind of thematic philosophy on the what and the why of fighting wars, even though we know why soldiers fight. I mean, it's clear. We have American soldiers and soldiers, period. We fight to protect our country. We fight so that the people of this country won't have to be afraid of what's out there, of what attacks may be coming from other countries, foreign countries. But I think it's something deeper to that. I know it was kind of explained throughout the movie, but to keep the audience engaged, or to keep me engaged per se, I felt they should have kept those thematic elements throughout the movie to keep you hooked in, even in the midst of all the firing and the explosions and the duck and cover. But you know what I'm trying to say. The characters. The characters. The characters in Dunkirk weren't really all that appealing either. Of course, we have some of the usual Nolan suspects: Tom Hardy, Michael Caine, Cillian Murphy, and Kenneth Branagh. Now, I didn't catch Michael Caine at all in this movie, but hey, he's in the cast. The soldiers we see in this movie are either trapped or out fighting the opposing forces. Now, the Allied forces, if you are a huge history buff, which I am not, the Allied forces is Great Britain and France. They spend most of the movie covering the ground and protecting all of the cornered soldiers at the Dunkirk beach. This aspect right here is no different from telling a story. It's no different telling a story about World War II. One thing that isn't really a high expectation of mine, because I can see it coming, is how each character offers something iconic and compelling. And this is evident in his more popular movies like the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception and Tenet. Like, I'm not going to spoil anything for Tenet, but I don't remember almost everything I saw. I've seen it only once. Of course, I'm going to see it again next Monday. But I can see how almost every character in Tenet adds at least a couple of layers, if not one of each character, to the story that makes it just as compelling as the protagonist. But it seems like in this movie, no soldier is adding anything iconic or compelling to the story. Now, I can say this may be an unpopular opinion, or a popular opinion if you'll say, but I guess the most iconic thing about this movie is the casting of Harry Styles in a war movie. I don't know. But yes, the characters are not really a high expectation of mine, because I already know how Christopher Nolan rolls with his characters and how he directs those in that area. You know that each of the characters are at least going to tell you something or teach you something new about this concept that Christopher Nolan is tackling. But like I said, war is not a very complicated concept because we get it. Therefore, there aren't a lot of soldiers or a lot of characters that can make us compelling into this already understandable environment. Rotten Tomatoes gives Dunkirk 92% score. Good for you. I had high hopes for Dunkirk and that it would be an epic tale. Now, don't get me wrong, although the feat of 330,000 French, British, Belgian, and Dutch soldiers being safely evacuated is impressive in and of itself. But this entry in Christopher Nolan's collection of thought-provoking stories is not very thought-provoking nor feels epic. It feels empty, basic, and simply unengaging. So if I may have offended you, if you're a fan of this movie, I'm sorry. But I'm just being very honest. Like, I tried to enjoy this movie, but it was kind of hard because, again, I say war is not a very complicated concept because we're familiar with this genre. It's pretty much its own genre. War is pretty much its own genre because we've seen other movies that fall under this category. I mean, there's 1917, Midway, Saving Private Ryan. You can finish the list. Like, yes, it's pretty much, you get the idea. But like each of those movies, I haven't seen any of those movies, but you can expect me to bring you those reviews on those movies. But I can kind of get a sense how those movies, even though they're all war movies, kind of add something different and something fresh to each of those movies, even if it's more than just about soldiers running around with guns and shooting the opposite side. So for that, I will give it a poor score of 5 SOs out of 10. So that is my review on Dunkirk. You can let me know what you guys think about it in the comment section below. If you like it or do you not like it. Because for me, to be honest, this falls sort of down there with The Following or Memento or say. You know what I'm trying to say. But there's one more film. I got one more. The last film, Tenet, is next week. This is the last one in Christopher Nolan series. I'll see you guys next week in that series, and I'll see you guys tomorrow in the Black Lives Matter series. Bye.